What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about choices in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game. Now, this comes to me from Noah Boardman, and he sent me this actually for one of my podcasts, and I said, you know what? I like the topic so much, so I want to give him credit. Thank you so much for sending me this. I want to give him credit because it's so good, I want to make a own video. So basically, that's what he asked. He said, will choices matter in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy game? Now, I don't know if he literally means, I guess literally, right? Does that mean literal? Or is it just, room to extend the conversation? But you know me from Podcast Now, that's what I do. No, well, obviously they're going to matter, right? The choices of this game, from what we've seen, from what they've told us, like this, it's a huge part of the game. Now, what I would say in terms of how much, right? That's my question. How much will choices matter? This is the thing that gets pretty much, well, I don't know if every game, but this is the thing that I guess every game that's like this always has to contend with, and sometimes gets the game in trouble, okay? I would argue it's rare to not get the game in trouble, but there are games, I would say, that have pulled off decisions and just being able to do different things. Even games that have dropped the ball in some respects, say like Mass Effect, right, with the ending of 3, there's still so much of the person, like your Shepard, and your decisions do things in these games that although the end is not what people wanted, and even you could argue certain segments of 3 were not what people wanted, the overarching series was like a masterpiece, specifically at the time, of how you do something like that. Do you know what I mean? So that's, now, okay, we've heard from some people that Guardians of the Galaxy reminds them of Mass Effect, right? Well, obviously it's only one game, so you can only do so much in one game. So I guess my hope is that, I mean, it's not too descriptive, but I'll try to get more descriptive as the video goes. I do want choices to matter, like, a lot. I want to feel like I'm Star-Lord and I'm holding this group together. You know what I mean? Not just holding the group together, but like my decisions matter to these people. And I guess the way you do that, in my opinion, is to really make them individuals. So like Gamora needs to be her own person, Drax, Rocket, like they need to be so much a person. I think that's what worked specifically with a game like Mass Effect, is not every character was like amazing, but everybody has their favorites. Like Garrus is a fan favorite, Liara or Tali's mine. Like you can look at these characters and just, you can talk about them for a long time. Now it's different because those are characters, they literally came out of thin air. They made races, like species for them. Like you don't have to do that for Guardians. And maybe that's actually a negative on Guardians, you know what I mean? Because you can't, I don't know, there's just something so special with some of the characters in these other games, most of which are original to those games. I mean, they created them. And I think that's honestly what part of the reason that makes it so special. So, I'm not saying that immediately is like, oh my God, this game's going to be horrible. I guess another thing I do want to say, though, I don't want to forget this point. I think, and this could be unfair, the choices are going to be looked at so heavily in this game. This is just a prediction for me, because I do think it has the most potential to be good. Like, it has the potential to be the thing that carries the game. And I guess I'm making several assumptions. I'm assuming the combat is going to be the weakest aspect of this game. Now, that could maybe not be fair to you. Maybe you hate me now because I said that. But I think reasonably, watching what we've seen so far of the game, to me, the gameplay is easily the least interesting. It looks not very good. It looks like it's going to get very repetitive. I feel like I'm going to get tired of it within the first couple hours. Now, that could all be wrong, and I want it to be wrong because I want the game to be good. Don't forget that, right? I want it to be good, but I feel like the gameplay is not going to be a highlight. Okay, well, what else do you have? Well, you have the story, okay? Story could definitely be something that holds the game up. I'm not worried, but I'm not, like, super excited. I'm kind of in the middle, okay? You look at the characters. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of how all of them look. I'm not the biggest fan of how all of them sound in terms of like the voice acting. I don't think they're all horrible. I don't think they're all amazing. So again, middling, basically. Middling in terms of the story, middling in terms of the characters. Well, what about the comedy? Well, I've talked about that before. I don't laugh much when I watch anything of Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of what they've shown. I don't think, I know they're going for jokes, but I think maybe 1 out of 10 hits me. And again, these are all just my personal opinions. And again, why am I saying all these things? Well, really, the choice-based idea of this game, I think when they showed that and they talked about that, that's what got people that were falling asleep or very uninterested in this game to get interested. And so that's my personal opinion of how I feel the general audience responded to this. Is I don't think the general audience is massively thrilled with the gameplay hook, with the character models, with the acting, with the jokes. I don't think people were hooked. I'm just going to say it, okay? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I do think once you throw in that there's choices, that your choices matter, that they matter even to an extent. Remember, even the first gameplay presentation they showed, like, it matters how you do combat, because you can maybe take a character almost out of the equation and bring them back in later. I mean, it matters. Now, obviously, big story decisions, they can only tell us they matter, and we'll have to see how things change as the game goes on, okay? So, again, it's very much up in the air. So, I think there's a lot riding on the choices, which could be a positive and also could be a negative, because there's just, maybe because it's like there's so much going on it that it ends up letting us down. But I really hope the choices do make a difference. I wouldn't say... Look, I'm actually kind of sympathetic, or I don't side with the games that have messed up these in the past, but I'm not as hard on them as other people. 2 examples would be Mass Effect and Life is Strange. Now, granted, Mass Effect, I played it after the extended cut, where they added, like, the additional scenes and dialogue at the end. That greatly helps. So if I played it without that, which you do have to consider people did play without that, I mean, it drastically is much worse than it is. And I do generally understand why people are upset. And if you really go in the lore of, like, how they really did drop the ball in a lot of aspects in Mass Effect 3, like, you can understand it, right? But I'm nicer to it than most people. Life is Strange, I'm incredibly nicer to the ending of Life is Strange than most people. I am upset that they didn't do more with time travel, that there wasn't more stuff, but I guess the idea that people at least focused on, which I think is valid, that all of these decisions, which there are some big ones, will eventually lead to you making one of 2 choices. The game can only end one of 2 ways, and not just that it can only end one of 2 ways, but only ends in those ways based off of one choice. And so the whole game boils down to one decision. That is what made people upset. I very much understand where they're coming from. I just don't get as mad about that as other people do, but I get it. So I guess what I'm saying is I hope Guardians doesn't have that issue, but I'm also not expecting, like, this insane multi-branching thing that, very few... I mean, you look at games that have really pulled it off. There's not too many that have just been able... I would honestly say, even like Detroit Become Human is one of the better examples of, like, every mission, every choice really does have an impact. I mean, Quantic Dream gave it their all, I think, with Detroit Become Human, in that sense, in terms of choices literally doing something to the game. I don't think Guardians is even going to come close to that. But I also feel like it needs to be a little bit more than literally the thing with, like, hiding Rocket or hiding Groot in the box. Like, it needs to be more than that. There needs to be story-based choices. No, I'm not saying I need 7 endings or I need 14 splits based off of this choice, and then I need 5 splits based off that. I'm not saying that, but it's more of a sense that you get when you're playing it, where you feel, okay, like, it's literally the question. Do choices matter? That's something that I feel like you just generally understand and figure out, like, they either do or they don't, and you figure that out as you're playing the game, where you're like, all right, the variations based off my choice are so small, this isn't a game that's going to do much with that. Or you say, holy God, like, that happened, that huge thing happened just because I made this one choice. You get that by playing it. You know what I mean? That's, at least right now. Obviously, you can watch it as well, but for right now, just talking about it, you can only predict, right? And then obviously the game comes out. So definitely a phenomenal question, something we'll have to keep our eyes on, and I can't wait to figure it out, because it can go both ways, and one way is disappointing, one way is actually very surprising, like, in a good way, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I have covered Guardians. I will be covering Guardians, so there'll be plenty of videos. I'm buying the game day 1, so another reason, I guess, to subscribe, right? There'll be plenty more videos. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, or subscribe to my second channel, or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for all of them are in the description below. And the join button is the YouTube memberships. It's next to the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you all on the next video.